today. Indeed, today I will present our project on responsible academic assessment. Our project, I will talk a bit about the team in the end, but the brilliant Julma Braat, with whom we did this together, is here. She's our senior policy advisor on anything related to academia or academic careers. So ask her a lot of questions if you want to. Without further ado, what is responsible academic assessment? Academic assessment is the process through which universities hire, promote, recognize, reward any kind of academic employees, also professionals, but now we focus on academics. It really impacts how we do assessment, really impacts careers, incentives, and cultures at universities. And in recent years, there have been a couple of shifts globally as well as nationally, connected to the recognition and rewards program, and I will refer a couple of times to SUNLI and the broader national program. These programs helped us advance assessment in the sense that now we try to focus on quality instead of quantity. We try to think about teamwork instead of the individual, the lone star that's fading already. Excellence not just in research, but education, leadership, impact, as well as open science. For our university, which is what I will be mostly talking about today, we already did a lot of things in terms of recognition and rewards and career assessment. Again, Julma is your person if you want to know more about that. She's amazing. Cannot emphasize this enough. But for this project, we actually, or together, we and a couple of our interdepartmental colleagues secured a small grant from OSNL. And with that, we started the project last year in February by hiring me. I am a psychologist of science. My doctorate is indeed about research integrity, social safety, early career researchers. I very much focus on those experiences and just the psychology of researchers and academia as a whole. And then we started conceptualizing this project. We thought about three things that we need to include. One, thinking about what good academic practices look like in general at our university. If you want to reward them, we should know what those are. Two, building community and network. And three, interventions for BAC members. I will not pronounce on recording the Dutch word for this, but they are assessment committees basically at our university. A short shout out to Erasmus University. You guys are brilliant because for the good academic practices, we could look at your academic activities catalog as a basis. And it was amazing enough so that we added a couple of other sources. We are still thinking about it, but largely we used that actually. We didn't have to develop our own thing. Team, yay. And then for community and network building. So we already knew that some of the policies connected to assessment are less well-liked, so to say, less accepted. And if you don't involve people and bring them on a co-creation process, it's very unlikely that they will accept your policies, as it turns out. Psychologically, this is not a difficult thing to recognize. There's science about this. So we decided that we have to also focus on creating an ecosystem of collaboration. And for that, we first drew up a community map, a Teams group, and a kickoff event. Why and what does that mean? We called our group or ecosystem the Responsible Research Community Eindhoven. We launched the Teens community, and this is the map I mentioned in which we try to figure out who are the institutional actors working on anything related to culture change, to responsible research, more broadly, responsible academia and scholarship. We figure out there are quite a lot of people, as it turns out. We tried to connect them. We went on to meet each and every one of them, talk to them, and so on. And then in a kickoff event last year, we managed to draw in 50% professional, 50% academic staff, community gathering of sorts, where we managed to get together senior management, as in our rector, Sylvia, Julma, in charge of academic careers, Vlasta from our Meta Science Center Eindhoven, taking care of the research perspective in a panel conversation. But then we also went into short interviews with PhDs, for example, how they see all the things happening in academia right now, and also workshops and presentations where parts of our communities, the map that I showcased, could share what each of them are working on. Here, this one was, I think, about careers. Yes, very much. That was amazing. Apart from that, and this is what I actually want to focus on today very much so, we decided to develop some interventions for our BAC, or the assessment committee members. Why? Well, because we noticed that there are some things that could be done better. We already knew this based on reports that have been done beforehand. Well, Julma wrote most of the policy, so she knew that quite well, you could say, had an insight. But then also we decided to conduct empirical research to figure out what's going on at our university, which was headed by me, and then design our own stuff. Outcomes included a role-playing game, a training, policy change, and some culture change. And I will start with the role-playing game and then go into the research stuff, because that's more boring. So I'm a huge gamer. I really enjoy role-playing. This is why we designed this one. It's a game about just, figuring or feeling through how a committee works, sitting in on the committee or as an observer and seeing what happens. How was that conceptualized? We would set up a role-playing game in which 10 people, 10 assessment committee members of different sorts, here I just outline a couple of them, would meet the candidate, and in a fictional situation, a recruitment assessment process, they would be thinking whether they should hire this candidate or the other. The other they have already listened to. We are just focusing on this situation. We included a couple of different things. We wanted to bring in relevant topics that we thought are worth discussing in two ways. One, the candidate themselves. I will talk about that in a second. Two, within the role descriptions or the role setups of these different members. You can see we wanted to have something on leadership, social safety, implicit bias, conflict of interest, fatigue, decision standards, and structures being not well met. The role-playing game plays in 4 short stages, 15 minutes total, ideally, sometimes it's longer. First, we have a start. People come in. The chair structures things. There's a presentation from the candidate. There's an interview, and then a discussion, ideally. The candidate, who is usually played by me, because I just enjoy role-playing so much, focuses on research, because of course they know that there are other things out there, but through these 63 slides that they prepared, they just want to focus on research, very much. Also on citations, that's very important. It's actually my citation number, so remember that, very impressive. Then they also present a paper, an actual paper. It's cool, you should read it, definitely. But also showcase one of the collaborators on that paper who is actually an assessment committee member. Slight conflict of interest situation, right? Yes, we played this game already 6, 7 times, I think, with different crowds, academic, non-academic, varying academic, non-academic. And then people came back with some comments. A lot of people recognized the things. Of course, it's a constraint, it's a radicalized situation. We push some buttons very explicitly because it's, shortened time frame. But it was recognizable to most people who have ever been in such a situation. A lot of them realized how it's, connects to what their experiences, but also they mentioned how the emotions that they experienced were so tangible. Also just seeing the candidate getting more and more stressed. Not that difficult to play that role, by the way. You do get stressed in that situation. On the positive side, they noted things when they played out in the game, like a warm welcome handshake for the candidate that happened in some of the occasions. It was written into the script, actually, so not that surprising for me. But also recognition and rewards related or culture, questions about collaboration and open science. Good. Notable things. Did everyone read the CV? We set up the members up with about 100 pages of materials from the candidate, a full academic CV, some publications, a bio sketch, some other materials, of course, just the basics that you need for this kind of thing, right? No, they did not read it, of course. Are there really 10 members against this one candidate in the room? Yes, there are, very often, 10 senior academic members. And then on the negative side, I told you about biases. We included some lines about a candidate being older or less moldable than the other younger candidate. People picked up on that. You should not have ageism in these things, really not. It's not a good thing. On the safety as well, it was 63 slides, but okay, not so good. Or that the chair didn't give a lot of structure. The role-playing game works. That's one of my points. Second thing, this is the report that we already had when I started in this position or in this project. It's about very much the process. Don't read the whole thing, it's a lot. But there are issues with workload, lead time, quality, compliance, and so on. We already knew this before I started doing anything. Then I came in and did a couple of observational studies, interviews, and other stuff, discussions, for example. And the observational studies were really, really fun. I just sat in on these committees. They knew that I was from HR. They didn't know that I was a researcher. And I observed what they are doing, how they are setting up the space, what are the social psychological interactions going on in the room. And then I made observational diaries. From the diaries, I created items like this one. IFCs is an interfaculty thing. Not that relevant, but each of these items, of which I think I collected about 200 in the end, we outlined whether they could be useful for our training that I will talk about, the database or the collection of good practices, policy or other stuff. As you can see, with overlaps, there are a lot of focus on the training because that was our primary goal here. And indeed, we did find a couple of things. These are the overarching categories that we developed. It was now not just focused on the process, but behaviors and culture. Yeah, okay, I'm a social scientist, that's what I do. But indeed, it was broader in the sense that now we could think about recognition and rewards, how self-management and stress works in committees, how is equity, diversity, inclusion included, and so on. And then based on this, we started developing a training. Everything is openly available that we can make available. Direct quotes from the interviews are not available, but almost everything else is. We developed the 3 times half-day training together with our brilliant trainer that I will show you in the second slide, in which each day or each half-day focuses on 2 of the topics, as you can see. Clara, so together with Clara, we developed the training, included the role-playing game and also a bunch of very practical focused training elements, like developing your academic profile or reflecting on your academic profile, again, connected to recognition and rewards. We piloted the training last year, end of last year. When I was finishing on the project, we really wanted to have me still on board while we finish. We did that, and we already had a couple of comments from our participants. They said they gained new insights, which is good. They loved the trainer, which is amazing. And it's not in the comments because this was not a written comment, but just recently one of them told us that the training didn't just help them reflect on how they do things in an assessment committee, but in everyday life, everyday academia. These are useful skills to become like a better academic citizen in general. We developed the training to be modular. Now it will become mandatory for every assessment member at our university. They might hate the concept of mandatory, but I think they will like the training, so I don't care. Parts of it will become mandatory for HR members of the committees, and parts can be used for other stuff like leadership training or frustration, stress, and other trainings. They are likely to recommend the course. We are happy about that because, others will have to take it. But let's talk about a much more complicated outcome that I think is equally cool, at least equally cool. Yeah, thank you. How does performance management look like ideally? And this is Julma's vision, largely. If you're hired, you should receive function-specific onboarding. You should have your academic profile set up. There should be an annual dialogue cycle, not as complicated as it looks like. I can explain further later. And the academic assessment should be connected to it, right? We should also think about group-level integration, as Sanli discussed, connected to this university. Such a cool image. This is what we have right now. Instead of that, we hire you. We don't care about onboarding that much. You get or don't get an annual dialogue in some departments. That's why it's gray. And your vertical promotion cycle is disconnected from anything. We don't even have data about some other things like PhD supervision, whether you're a good PhD supervisor or a decent human being. We don't mind that. Anyway, because I don't have a lot of time, stuff that we created, available. I will have a QR code. Use it. Very nice. We're here today. We've been featured in Dublin by one of my UNL colleagues. And we will be at this conference where we will be playing the role-playing game and talking a lot more about the training. Come and join us there. But before I finish, I really want to, I know it might go over, but just by 1 minute. Challenges and personal learnings. This was my first role after I finished the PhD. I finished the PhD, 2 weeks of break, then I'm on this project. I was the PI. There were no other researchers on it. It was a bit overwhelming. And this was the first time I could work as an applied researcher. First learning was that respect for professional staff members is questionable. Whenever I got introduced as an HR member, I got very different reactions than when people learn that I have a doctorate. Not a good thing. Don't be assholes to professional staff members. It's not nice. And this came back. I will talk about that later. Infrastructural inefficiencies. If you're an academic staff member, you can take some things for granted, like your academic freedom, as it turns out. But does the code of conduct for the Netherlands protect me as an applied researcher working at a university from my manager telling me that for PR purposes I cannot talk about certain things? We don't have a response to that, not yet. Well, I'm presenting right now, and so far managers have been really cool at our university. I think they really do want change, and they are really responsible. Let's be glad for that. But it would be nice to reflect on it. I do think this was the best science project ever. Not many people had the opportunity to sit in such a committee setup and be able to, then present and talk about it. And I do think I was serving the best community ever, not just our responsible research community or the meta scientists at our university or the IFC secretaries with whom I worked a lot, but the larger community. And connected to that, final thoughts, I promise. But I wanted to take a few seconds to emphasize the importance of the final 2 points here. Science and community, because I think change is needed. It is also imminent, as we've heard. I've learned this not just in working in academia, Dutch academia, at TUE, at UNL, but also as a person who has been born and raised in Hungary on a societal level. Change is imminent, but you never know how staggered it is, how stable it is, what happens. You might take 1 step forward and then two steps back. It might also not serve your purposes or not immediately. I do think it's important to not despair in hard times and just remember that it should not be about the lone stars or the fading stars, the celebrities, the lone genius, and so on. I think we need a system of collaboration, as presented here. And I don't believe on the lasting change brought on by the lone genius. I do believe in community and I do believe in science. So, and our team.